So Bernardo Silva has been banned for 6 games by the FA, the governing body of the Premier League, because of racial tweets that he made concerning Benjamin Mendy, comparing him to this chocolate bar brand in Spain that's called Conjitos, and saying that he has this similar appearance to this little character, and everybody's in disregard and disgusted by it, right? And the FA here like are the rules of like him insulting or bringing this thing concerning race or ethnicity or color of origin, and it's a grave breach and all this. And the acts that the FA took, like, I believe they're in their right. They're the governing body of the Premier League, and if this is a breach of contract, if he did something that he wasn't supposed to based on what he signed or whatever, then he should be punished. And I don't condone racism. I don't think that it's good for the game. We've seen it in a lot of instances and all these things. And I know they have a really good friendship, Bernardo Silva and Benjamin Mendy and all these things. But I mean, I don't know. I have to take a few things into consideration when talking about this. And before you cut me off or before you say that you don't know what you're talking about, like, what do you mean to defend him or this or that? Like, just listen to me. Just listen to this whole video. And I mean, I'm just going to be putting myself in his shoes and like how he feels or how he grew up and things like that. Because I feel like we have to take all these things into account. And then I'll just give you my overall opinion on what I think of the matter, because Bernardo Silva's Portuguese, and I mean, Benjamin Mendy's French and all this, and there's a lot of cultures and things like that, but England, it's very different from their cultures as well. And then, like how I said, I wanted to put myself in their place. Like, if we just look at the ethnicity groups in Portugal, like, we can see that 95% of them is like just Portuguese, which is like, I don't know, the European looking team that you see, where it's mostly just composed of like guys that look like Cristiano, uh, Bernardo Silva, Guedes, I know, Rui Patricio, all these guys, they all kind of look similar. So I guess that's like the Portuguese. And then the rest of them is composed by other minority groups, which is a 5%. So it's such a low scale compared to like other countries, like maybe even England. And then if we look at what composes that 5%, it's composed of minority groups like such as Brazilians, Hang Chinese, other people from other colonies of Africa and Asia, and it's just a very small group. So even that 5% is not even all composed of like people of African descent. So I mean, if I was gonna put myself in his place, he really doesn't interact with that many people of this type of descent. And then, like, if we just put it even more into context, where like I looked up the certain demographics of Lisbon, and it's talking about that 94% of the population is Portuguese. I mean, it's varied with like each study. But I got these from like atlas.com, and then I don't know where was the other one. I'll put the sources in the description. And then it just says that like 1.2% of the total population is like Brazilian or black or mixed race or things like that. And I know their friendship is going to still be strong, and they're still strong no matter what happened. And some people are being criticized, like I know like their manager and things like that for trying to defend him. And I don't know, all these things that I don't believe they should be taken into account, because each person is different. Like I said, he grew up in a different place. He had a different upbringing than most people. Most people in England, like, they've gone through these things. There's more people of these races in their country, so they know to respect them and whatever. And me being American, I know it myself, and like I would also want to give my take on it, just like how I feel. Like, I'm not of African descent, but I'm of Hispanic descent. I'm Latino, whatever. And I'm from like Arkansas, which is basically one of the most racist states in the United States. Not the most racist, but it's one of them. It's up there. It's in the South. It's where like all these slave trade, all these things have been happening. And I also suffered racial abuse in my upbringing in like my middle school years. But like, I don't let that define me. And I'm not gonna say that I haven't suffered from it like nowadays, but it's not as prevalent. And I know that in those times I was young, and most people were young during those times. So like they were just, I guess they were just acting on what their parents had been told, and like I didn't understand it. I always questioned it myself, and I know my people coming here, they migrated here, some of them illegally and some of them legally, but it's just how things are in the United States. And I feel like the news doesn't help as well because they like overstate these things, and just like with the rhetoric of like Donald Trump and just hating on him and saying that he's racist and everybody else is like canceled for racism. The news doesn't help itself either to evaluate their points. And like I don't know, it just doesn't help me in a sense because like I don't know. I can't really talk about like these type of things. Maybe I would have to get more in depth, but like I said, the news and the media is not really helping this move forward. And like I also lived in Mexico myself because I also studied there. I think I also studied there 1 year when I was a teenager. I think it was like my first year of high school. Over there is like their Cero Secundaria, and also suffered racial abuse there, where they were saying that I was American, that I should go back to my country. What was I doing in theirs? And just I don't know. I guess it's just frustration that they felt because of the racial discrimination that they suffer here. They wanted to take it against somebody, and I mean I'm an easy target, because I'm from this country. I'm from America, but I mean I'm not gonna let that. I'm not gonna say that the majority of people are racist. It's just a couple few, and I just gotta say the truth. That did happen to me, but I'm not gonna let that outlook or that sort of thing that happened to me determine all my future. And it's just culture to culture, like some of the little things that I saw in Mexico, which is kind of crazy, was like they also have like a little chocolate or the company Bimbo has also a little thing where like they have Negrito, and then in the US they have Nito, because like they can't have Negrito because it's basically like Blackie in Spanish. And like this has been going on for years. Like here's like a picture from the 80s of the little snack. It's like a bread covered in chocolate. That's all it is. But like that's what I gotta say, because there's not many people of African descent in Mexico, so like it's not that prevalent. And I know Pep Guardiola has been accused of like they should just own up to it. Bernardo Silva should just say that he was wrong and all this stuff and that. But in his mind, he doesn't believe he's wrong, and like I could see why, because his upbringing. Like this is a young guy. He's like 24, 25 maybe, 23 years old. He's super young, and like sometimes we let that blind us. And Pep Guardiola is gonna stick up for his players. What would happen if he didn't stick up? What would happen? Like how would he feel? He would feel betrayed as well. And it's all just the rhetoric against Bernardo Silva. Basically, it's just this type of cancel culture that we live in, where you say one bad thing or you tweet one bad thing and your whole life is ruined. Where like anybody can come for your job, and like anything that you've done or whatever, it doesn't amount to anything. Yeah, so this is just all I gotta say. Even Raheem Sterling sticked up for him. One of the people that suffered so much from the media. And that's what I gotta say. The media doesn't really help when they're the ones also doing this type of condemning and all these things. And like, who am I? Like, I'm not anybody to get on a high horse and say what should be done or this or that. But the FA did good by what they did. Like, I don't condone this type of behavior as well. And I know he's going to learn, and I know a lot of players are going to learn. They're going to think twice before tweeting something out, because if this means that they're going to ban me for I don't know how many games, it's going to be something that you should think about, or something you should ponder before actually tweeting something or saying something that could hurt someone's feelings. I don't know. But I'm just got to say that we can't be so sensitive to these things. And I know we live in this cruel world, but this is the world we live in. I know it's going to change, but maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe in the next one. But we can't just condemn this guy just because he didn't grow up with these type of people, or he didn't have certain experiences, or he didn't grow up in England, something that they've been fighting themselves, or he didn't grow up here in the USA where we're fighting racial tensions every day or whatever. Because like in his world where he was from, even though he was in France and in England and I don't know where else, he like he doesn't have to go through these things. He's a professional footballer. Like these things don't affect him. So that's just all I gotta say. It's just my opinion, but you can think whatever. Just like and subscribe and peace out.